Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are here sharing their expertise and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, where we help businesses grow through outside the box visibility and automation strategies. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. Really happy to have you here with us today. And I'm just going to get to it. We've been chatting behind the scenes. I'm really excited for this conversation. Never know what's going to happen here. So without further ado, I want to welcome my guest, Olivier Lemaignen, here today with HPO Coach. So welcome, Olivier, to the podcast.
Thank you, Heidi. I'm excited to be here.
I am excited to dive in with you. So Olivier, can you share with us a little bit about yourself, about your company, HPO Coach, and also your role within it?
Sure. So I've been mostly a marketing executive for the last 30 plus years. And after rising through the ranks to senior director, VP, chief marketing officer of a fintech company in the Silicon Valley, I decided that I had enough of the corporate life and the politics. And I hired a coach, and he helped me really take a step back and realize that the reason I'd been such a successful executive was because of how I treated my teams and helping them grow. And so I decided to start HPO Coach. It's a executive coaching and leadership development practice in 2015. And I've been focused on helping others grow and become better versions of themselves. Maybe a version they didn't think they could ever achieve or reach. And that's my life purpose. That's what makes me happy is having positive impact on other people. So I'm still doing marketing consulting. Why throw away, over 20 years of experience? So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
I love that. So can you tell us, does HPO stand for something?
Yes, it stands for two things because there's a dual aspect to my business. The one part is coaching organizations, teams, individuals. So that's high performing organization. And then on the marketing side, when I do the consulting, it's high performance outcomes. So it's a dual meaning depending on what the engagement is.
I got it. So question for you, because I was a coach in my past life now, before I moved into Done For You services. So I was coaching as well, female entrepreneurs. And, we are always hearing when we're building a business, you really need to niche down, like really get really clear and go into a small, like the smaller niche, the tighter you get, the bigger your scope type of thing. Broader is broke, richer is nicher. So you support businesses and people in two different things. So I'm curious, with your organizational and coaching, do you work in a specific space? And then also I'm going to ask two questions at once. For your marketing side of it, who are those individuals that you help? Because it's interesting that you do a couple of different things with two different types of marketing, target markets.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, at least from my perspective, is that the two intersect quite a bit. So for example, when I take a marketing consulting engagement, I don't leave the coaching aspect aside. It's part of my DNA. That's just how I function. Right. So I'm hired to do a marketing project or a marketing strategy or whatever. I still bring the coaching along because the people in the company that want the marketing done, well, they're still people and they still have their relationship issues. They still have their challenges, whether it's the C-suite level or whether it's lower down in the organization. And to help them be higher performing marketers, they still need to work cross-functionally and they need to get along with other people and ask the right questions. So that's where the leadership development actually follows along. When I get a leadership development or coaching opportunity with a client, whether it's be an individual or a company, the marketing doesn't really come into the picture unless it happens to be a team that is a marketing team, and then I can add the marketing value of my 30 years experience. So you're right. They're two very different aspects, but they do intersect, surprisingly, even to me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And that's why I wanted you to like, I wanted to ask the question because I wanted your perspective on it because I feel the same way. Like, even though I'm more in the done for you space now in marketing and AI and automation, lead generation, that type of thing, I'm still in the coaching doesn't go away. I
Correct.
still coach my clients into what we feel the next steps are, and we work through that because no business is cookie cutter. No, but no
Exactly.
person is cookie cutter. Everybody's different. So every time we work with new clients, it's not the same as it was with the client prior, which is what that's why I was like, oh, I love this because I don't talk about it. And I love that you're doing something similar where the coaching is still involved and and it does intersect. So high performance organizations, high performing
Teams.
executives,
Yeah. Yeah.
teams, people, what's the
Mhm.
biggest misconception that leaders have about what high performance actually means?
Okay, so that's a great question. High performance is the how. What matters most is the what. What are you solving for? Because you can be high performing going in the wrong direction and still not going to solve the problem for the company or help the company grow. So it starts with being very intentional about what the priorities are, what the main strategies are, and then you figure out the how, and then you enable teams to be high performing. So I think that's oftentimes what I've seen is that goals are being distributed and teams are expected to meet or exceed them, but it's not always clear what it is in service of. So that's why I'm saying the what is really critical. So even though it's the top of the pyramid, it helps the foundation be solid and the pillars go in the right direction. So more wood behind the arrow. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that the distinction between the how and the what. And I love that you said you can be high performing going in the wrong direction. And I just was like, yes, that's me. That's been me. I know, like, how often have we all been high performing? We're like, yes, we are, we're driven, we're going, and we're not pausing to go, wait a minute,
Right.
am I solving the problem that I need to be solving right now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So good. Where do most leadership teams fail when trying to implement high performance principles, not in theory, but in actual execution?
That's a great question again. I think the first step, which is sometimes missed, is again, it goes back to what are we trying to accomplish? The second step, which is just as critical, is communicating the what to the troops. Because if they don't know what the goal is, and that's why I mentioned earlier priorities and key strategies, if they don't know and they haven't been clearly communicated to what the objectives are, then they can do their craft. They're skill-based workers. Like let's think about, okay, pay-per-click expert, content development expert, an engineer expert. But if they don't know what they're applying their craft to, then odds are the outcome is going to be subpar. So the leadership team needs to communicate very clearly what the right direction is, what the true north is. And I love that term true north because it crystallizes that there's only one destination that is desired. Now, there's many ways to get there, but at least communicating what the true destination is super helpful. Having been, at early in my career, I needed direction as to where we were going. Then I could think about how I was going to contribute to getting there. It doesn't work the other way around.
Yeah. So, Olivia, you have shared that you have worked in both Fortune 500 environments and also growth stage companies. So, that being said, are there some like glaring differences when it comes to how you would work with them and also some like similarities in with that, how you would work with them as well?
I would say that the challenges that they're trying to solve may be different. The way to solve them, the approach, meaning not the solution, but the approach of asking the right questions, doesn't really vary that much. Because in the end, it's all about what are you trying to accomplish? Why are you trying to accomplish it? Is it the best way to accomplish it? And then you dive into the weeds. You're like, okay, so this is the plan. Do you sign off on that? And then you get to work, right? Hands-on with the teams, collaboration. But I wouldn't say that it varies that much. And I've been in a lot of industries, a lot of different company sizes. I think common sense does not vary depending on the size of the company or the industry. Common sense remains constant. Ask the right questions, get to the right answers, test, iterate, become better over time, bring the team along, and boom, magic happens.
Yeah, I love that you just said that. I think that's like a key gold nugget. I want to just recap on that before we move forward is test, reiterate, and common sense. Like ask the questions, test, and then iterate. And that is, doesn't matter what stage of growth you're in, that
Correct.
if that is consistent time and time again throughout your business, you're going to grow. There might
Yeah,
be some stumbles along the way,
of course.
and that is learning and growth. So I
Yes.
love those three. Like that's clear for me when I
Mhm.
hear that, like ask the questions, test, iterate.
Yeah. And,
So
and and to your point, there's no such thing, and it depends on the culture of the company to accept that, but there's no such thing as failure. Failure is just another opportunity to learn, grow, and become better over time.
yeah, absolutely. So good. So Olivier, you
Mhm.
recently published a book. Can you
I did.
tell us about it, share it, and what inspired you to write?
Sure. Sure. So the book is called Leadership in Action, a Blueprint,
Ah,
with a subtitle When High Performance Matters. So the reason why I wrote it is definitely not to make money, right? I'm not waiting to be a best-selling author and having royalties come in. It's really more a question of legacy. And when I thought about why I would write a book, I wished, I wish that when I was in my early or mid-career, somebody had handed me those nuggets, those insights, so it could accelerate my growth. And
mm,
so that's what I want to do for others. It stays within the realm of why do you become a coach? It's because you want to help others grow and grow faster, accelerate their growth. And so that's what the book is about. And it combines my 30 years experience in terms of coaching, leadership development, and marketing, the focus on growing your team, not in terms of head count, but in terms of capabilities and capacity. It includes how to showcase within corporations, even startups, the value that your team adds. So I have a whole chapter on metrics and how to showcase them, how to tell the story of what your team has accomplished. And then it's just, you know, also for my kids. I mean, I have 6 of them, and I want to leave a legacy for them in their careers that goes beyond the personal inheritance. So it's really about legacy. It's about distilling 30 plus years of experience, challenges, failures, successes, so
mm.
that others can learn from those.
I love that. I was going to ask you what legacy means to you.
Legacy, okay, so this may sound morbid, but I found myself facing a question, which was, okay, so I'm dead. What do I want inscribed on my tombstone? Is it this guy was a great award-winning marketer, or is it he changed people's lives for the better? It's definitely the latter. And that's my true north.
Yeah, so beautiful. I love that. And when you think of it that way, it just gives you a sense of purpose and,
Mhm.
and leaning into, okay, what's my purpose every day? I know this is what my legacy is and what I want to be leaving behind. and what I want when people think of me, what I want for them to think of, and
Yes.
how I want them to remember me. So Olivia, I'd like to talk. You've been in business for a really long time. You've done a lot in your 30 plus years of being in business. Can you share with us, like, as far as your growth go, especially since you moved from corporate into entrepreneur? Entrepreneur is a whole new ball game. It's very different than corporate. Neither one is good or bad. They're just different.
Yeah.
And so there's shifts that need to be made when you're moving in from one to the other, whether it's entrepreneur to corporate, corporate to entrepreneur. So for my question for you is, what challenges did you face when you decided to make this? I know you hired a coach, which is hugely supportive, and who knows if you would have been able to do it without that support. So what are some of the challenges, although you had a coach, what were some of the challenges you faced in making that pivot? And then it could be one. And then how did you overcome it?
It's interesting that you mentioned the word pivot. I just posted something on LinkedIn about the topic of the pivot. And it's, a pivot is often mistaken as a reaction to a situation. I believe in the pivot being most powerful when it is intentional because you took a step back. So that was the pivot in my case. I saw what wasn't working. I wanted something better. And then I had to figure out how. So then you talk about challenges of being, entrepreneur, self-employed, all that. The challenge is definitely more to find clients where you can add value, right? I mean, I've been lucky that all of my engagements so far have been through referrals because people have seen what I've done in the past in my career, and they're trusting me to make good things happen for them. But eventually referrals kind of run out. And so the biggest challenge now is, how do I fill that pipeline? And I don't like the term business development. I'm a value added guy. I want to, as I said, change people's lives for the better. I don't want to sell myself. So that's probably the biggest challenge being, a company owner, is finding that next sales pipeline that might end up with paying clients for whom we can then add value.
So that being said, a majority of yours come from referrals. Have clients come to you in other avenues? Have you tried your background's marketing? So how have you tried other marketing avenues and efforts? And what has worked for you in that regards outside of the referral strategy? And also on the flip side, like, have you done some things marketing wise that haven't given you the results that you would really hope for?
So ironically, as a marketer, I've done no marketing.
You're going to tell me like I'm great at marketing for others, but not, because you know how we have a zone of genius, and we're great. We can see it for others, and then when it's us, it's our baby. So we don't.
That's 100%.
Have blinders. Yeah,
100%. And that's why I'm talking about biz dev and selling myself.
Yeah.
As a marketer, I actually really suck at that. But for others, I mean, I could sell ice cubes to Eskimos as long as somebody else is making the ice cubes.
Yeah. So good. So you haven't really done any marketing, just like you just referral based. Yeah. Okay. So when you got started, you had to do something. Did you just put it out there that you're doing this and you had that following? Oh,
it was networking. It was networking with people I've worked with in the past. And they're like, okay, so now you're a coach. Wait, that makes sense because I've seen you as a marketer. That's how you treated your teams. So yeah, I saw the outcome. So I trust you. So come in and be the outside coach for the entire company. That was my first client, Evite. And the CEO said, and I love that about him, he said, I don't want you to come in and under the label executive coach just for the C-suite. I want you to be available to the entire company, from frontline to the top. And I love that because, and in my book, I mentioned the difference between the types of leadership, right? Command and control versus servant leadership. And I've been blessed to be in an environment where it was servant leadership. And the difference is that in command and control, essentially leaders are perceived to be the top 10% of the company. Everybody else, they're just sheep who are supposed to do what they're told to do. In servant leadership, the mindset is very different. It's where you can develop leaders at 95% of the company at all levels, including frontline phone operators, because leadership is a mindset. It's not a title. And so I try to apply that. And that's why I loved the mindset of the CEO of Evite, because I interacted with millennial frontline employees, very junior, all the way to the C-suite. And the engagements were different. But the output, the outcome was just phenomenal. I actually wrote a case study on how to deal with millennials because they have such a bad rep. But the reality is, where does that bad rep come from? They're entitled. They want this. They want that. The reality is, okay, well, if leadership doesn't lead them, doesn't coach them, they're going to be stuck in that mindset. And that's not fair to them to be labeled that way.
Mm-hmm. And there's also value there. We can learn from the behaviors that they,
Yes.
That they embody, because the older generation was work, put in your 45 years or whatever, and then retire and hope to live long enough to enjoy it. And
Yeah.
on the flip side, they're like, I want to enjoy my life as I'm moving through it. So, and there's value there. There's beauty there in
Yes.
learning for everyone. So going back to your book, what are some key takeaways that when they read it, like why somebody should go out and get it now? What's like one tip or thing that they can learn from reading the book that they can carry forward with them?
Sure. So I try to separate different topics by chapter so that when that time comes in your career or in your journey where you need particular help in one area, you can go back to that chapter. It'll be very clear. It'll be succinct. I think the biggest tip, and it goes back to what we talked about earlier, true north. What is the priority for your life? Personally and professionally. And how does the personal affect the professional? And in the first chapter that I called The Work Journey, I was blessed with an insight from whom I considered to be a very old man at the time. He was 40, I was 25. Now, of course, I consider that young.
Yeah. I'm there with you.
And he, it was in a church setting, not afraid to say that. It was a retreat for men. And he shared that he'd been very successful in sales, made tons of money because his true north was providing for the family. And what he then shared was his regret is that by doing so, he essentially missed the childhood of his kids. And so that hit hard. That hit home very hard for me. I was like, I don't want to be that dad. So I prioritized my personal true north, which was I want to spend time with my kids. I want to be home for dinner at night. And therefore, I bypassed jobs that were paying much more because they forced me to be on the road. And therefore, I missed family time. So, and I'm not saying that one decision or the other is either good or bad, but I think it needs to be your personal true north and then be intentional about the decisions you make in your life, professional and personal.
Yeah. Wow. Moving forward into AI, because it's here, Olivier, and I'm curious with AI, how are you seeing it changing what it means to be a high performance organization? Are the fundamentals the same, or is the bar being raised now that that's in play?
Great question again. I think I have a dual answer. So, and I've seen that recently when I was consulting at Intuit. I think their approach is really smart. So they're not saying AI will replace workers. The power is in HI plus AI, so human intelligence combined with artificial intelligence. So whether that's in the product, whether that's how you do your daily work, AI can make you more efficient. It won't replace your thinking, but it will accelerate the process. And so when you're talking about growth and you have those quarterly goals, right? Accelerating progress is critical. And AI is a great tool for that. Now, I'm also seeing AI as a great tool for lead generation for people like me, for example, right? Where you set it up or you have a friend or company set it up with the right inputs, with the right prompts, and then it does work in your sleep and you end up with meetings on your calendar. To me, that's beautiful. And the AI has gotten to a point now, the agentic AI, of interactions that become much more relevant, on point, and human-like. Like I was invited to a bunch of podcasts as a guest, right? And I started realizing a pattern. All the emails were pretty much structured the same way. And so I'm like, okay, so that's AI. But when I was having interactions via email, it felt very human and natural. And I think that's how I see AI being able to augment the possibilities is acceleration of tasks that are already being done, and then automating tasks that would take too much time. I would not want to send out 10,000 emails because I'd rather spend time with 50 clients and helping them become better and being the coach. I don't want to be the biz dev guy. I don't want to be the marketer in that case, for myself. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And, I remember when we got started, when we pivoted, and I'm like, cold email, I don't know. And I'll pull back the curtain. We do automation, cold outreach, and we do it for this podcast. It's one of the ways we do it. And we've implemented now what's called a response agent or an SDR, so that when we do get an inquiry, now my team is able to field those questions faster with the support of an AI agent. And they will go in and take over, but the agent will get it so far until we know we need to step in. And it's freed up. So we're able to, communicate with more people, really get into the core of, is this somebody that we want to bring on and talk to? Are they going to provide the value that we're looking for? Because when you're doing cold outreach, you're not always hitting the right people. So you've got to also feel that through. And our AI automation tools and agents are able to support us in that, getting through to the people that we want to be speaking to faster, which is fantastic. So I love that you brought that up. And I've never talked about that on here. So, but yeah, we do a lot of AI automation behind the scenes. And like you said, because I want to spend my time talking to you, right? I want to spend my time talking to my guests. I don't want to spend my time reaching out and having to go through. It's just not
the funnel.
possible.
The funnel.
Yeah, it's not possible. So the communication is where the magic really happens. So
I feel privileged that I actually made it through your filter.
And I'm so grateful you're here. I love this conversation. This is so good. What else can I ask you? Okay, so we talked about your challenges, Olivier. We talked about your experience and your expertise and your book. Where can we get the book?
So it's published on Amazon, and I can send you the link if you want to add it to the comments. And the fun thing is, so I worked with Amazon Publishing, and I didn't even know this was a thing, but they actually created a trailer for the book.
That's cool.
I thought trailers were only for movies. Apparently not. So I can send you that link as well. And and if at some point people are intrigued by our conversation, they're like, maybe I need this guy. All they have to do is go to hpocoach.com. There we go.
I love how simple you make it. HPO. So the P is in powerful. Performance, hpocoach.com. Olivier, if I could hand you a magic wand and you can wave it over one challenge or issue you're having right now in this moment and go poof and take it away, what would that one thing be and why?
It would be client generation. So the sales pipeline funnel, and why, that's another good question. There's been a shift post-COVID, especially in the Silicon Valley. Tens of thousands laid off, even from big companies like Google, Facebook, Apple. So a lot of competition in marketplace for marketing jobs and other jobs, but at the same time, a shift in priorities. So the priority is no longer a company focused on developing leadership internally, leadership skills internally. So therefore not looking to spend money on an external coach or leadership development guy or gal. And individuals are more concerned about how to put food on the table next month than they are about growing, right? So that's the challenge, which is why I'm mentioning sales pipeline, funnel, and getting clients who actually actively willing to engage because they have a priority, they have their true north, and they don't necessarily know how to get there, and they need help.
Right.
And that takes courage to admit that you need help.
It does. It does take courage because the vulnerability is there, and that's very scary. So thank you for this conversation, because you've said, pipeline used to be a word that was like, you know what, I'm good right now. I've got my clients. I'm happy where I'm at. We're doing well. I don't really need more right now. And then something happens, right? And then you don't have that pipeline. And it feels like now you're in scramble mode where you're first starting from scratch. And then coming from a place of desperation is never a place you want to be. Correct. So that pipeline, for those of you who are listening and going, you know what, I'm really comfortable here. I'm happy. We're doing good. We're in a nice place. Don't forget about that pipeline, because you never know when life is going to happen to one of your clients or you, right? Yep. And you need to bring on a team member to support you, and you need that extra pipeline in order to make that happen. So that pipeline is really, really important. Referrals are fantastic. And if you're getting referrals, like Olivier's been, blessed to have, phenomenal. You want to keep that going. And unfortunately, that's not scalable. So it will keep you going, and it will keep you consistent. And it's great to have that, because you know that it's validating, because you know what you're doing is working and supporting people. And you also want to be making sure that you're bringing new people into your space. And in what's the word I'm looking for, Olivier, you're providing value for them, right? And you're nurturing them. And whether they work with you or not, they're getting value, and they're going to take that and create that effect. Yeah.
No, I was going to say that the first thing in the first difference between a sales approach that works and the one that doesn't work, the one that works is because you actually provide value before you ever get paid.
Yeah.
And I think that's key. And it's the same thing with coaching. You want to help people, and that's what gets them hooked, not in a bad way, right? Because my philosophy is the sooner you no longer need me means the most successful I've been at helping you, which is a very bad business model, to be honest. But it goes back to the true north. Who do you want to be as an individual? So I love the fact that you reframed all of that and packaged it the way you did, because you're spot on.
Yeah. And I don't like selling. I've never been a salesperson. I've never been salesy. I'm like, here's what we offer. You want it? Great. Let's have a conversation. If it's win-win, fantastic. If not, if I know somebody that could use your services, I'll refer you. We'll keep that relationship going, just not in a monetarily exchangeable way. If they're, but then, somebody reframed it years ago for me, and it clicked, and I still forget it though, Olivier. Selling is serving. If you're not selling, which means you're not serving, someone else is. And that person that needs that service will end up going with someone else who may not be as good as you.
Yeah.
And then that's a disservice for that person. So when they reframed selling into serving, I was like, oh, I can serve. And then I just have to get comfortable with making that offer and, and making it over and over and over again until it lands on the person that needs it in that moment, and, so forth. So this has been great conversation, because it's not something we've dug deep in on this podcast. So I'm grateful to our AI for connecting with you.
Thank you, Heidi. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. It
was fun.
Obviously I love to talk. You can tell by now I'm a man of many words, but my wife tells me that. But this was really engaging, and I loved your questions. Really, they dug deep. And I think that your listeners and viewers are going to get a ton of value from the topics that you dove into.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for you taking your time, Olivier, out of your day and your family, and to be here with with me and us and share your insight and wisdom. Again, can you tell us the name of your book? We can get it on Amazon. And then also let us know where we can go, they can go to connect with you.
Sure. So the book is called Leadership in Action, A Blueprint, and it's on Amazon. You can find the Kindle version, the paperback, the hardcover, and the way to reach me. And there's also a link to Amazon on my site. It's to go to www.hpocoach.com. That will also give you access to my email address. And if you want to contact me directly, so, that's the whole rule.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, and the thing about this, for you who's listening to us right now, is this is a playbook. And I want to reiterate that because it's not just a book you read once and you put down. He literally organized it and made it so simple for you, where he gave you like an issue or a problem or whatever you might be going through in a chapter. So you literally can pull this out at any time and refer to your playbook and go get support and answers to support you on moving through that. So
yeah, thank you for that, Heidi. And by the way, if you go to Amazon, you don't have to buy the book, but at least you can see the preview to see if it's something that's for you.
Yeah.
Did you see how it's structured?
Yeah. And then reach out to Olivier and maybe we can get him to record an audible about it. Right? Yeah. We get enough people saying we need one. Maybe he'll do it. Yeah. Okay. You heard it here. For those of you, maybe your wife can chime in on those two, in it too. For those of you watching us on YouTube, hello, Olivia and I say hi, and we're grateful you're here with us. If you know of anybody that could benefit from hearing Olivier's share today on the show, on the podcast, please share this episode with someone that could be supported, whether it's by taking a look at the book, getting the book, going to hpocoach.com and connecting with Olivier. Please share this out there. The goal of this podcast is to help more businesses succeed within that 5-year span. More businesses fail within 5 years. Most businesses fail within 5 years. And we want to flip that number. And that's one of the reasons, the purpose of this podcast is by bringing people that are doing it, have done it, and we can hear from them all the good and all the challenges and how they've moved through it themselves. So you can choose, listen, and then choose which ones best supports you in the stage of growth you're in the moment. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, thank you. If there's an opportunity for you to hit the reviews button on there, we would love a 5-star. That helps supports the platform and us for pushing us out to more people to support more businesses. And it also supports Olivier and I in getting this episode to more people, so more people can get to know him with his generosity of being here today and his wisdom he shared. Olivier, before I let you go, is there anything that you'd like to share or say that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't talk about today?
Not at all. Not at all. I think we covered a lot. Thank you for your generosity in letting me talk about myself. I always like to do that. But I love the fact that we also pivoted into, to use that word again, into AI and what that can do for you nowadays, right? It's the new shiny object. The thing is, you just need to figure out if and how you want to use the new shiny object and not get lost with all the new shiny objects that are out there.
Yeah, this has been so good. I've really thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, Olivier, today. I'm so glad we did this and came together. It's been such a joy and pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Please, you're welcome. Please, those of you listening, reach out, connect with him. He's pretty amazing, as you heard here. Go check out the book, go grab it, and then write him and tell him that we want an audible on too, so we can have it in everywhere we can access it. Thank you all. Thank you, Olivier. Thank you all for listening today. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.